Now, in the chapter of real and rational numbers, you will also be asked to do arrangement of numbers. So let's go through a little bit of what arrangement of numbers is. Now, to do a little bit of a recap, ascending basically means, okay, descending. Okay, if it helps you remember it better, it basically means decline. Okay, you see, DE starts together. Whereas ascending, okay, it's the same way. So I have ascending, adding. Can you see? Both starts with A. So decline means it's decreasing, which means it is from a lot to very little. Whereas ascending means that it's from very little to a lot. Okay, so they ask you, using a number line, arrange each of the following in a descending order. Okay, so you see, remember rule of thumb, okay, you always write terms, okay, that are given. Don't give me the terms, or rather don't write the terms that is whatever you have calculated, because that's a very common mistake that students always make. Okay, so if I were you, what would I do? Okay, let me remove this. I will convert everything to decimal, so you make them common such that it's easier for you to see the difference. Okay, so I will have 4. Okay, I will have 29 over 33 will give you 0.878787, and I have negative 2.365. Then I have 5.5. Okay, that's quite straightforward. And then I also have negative 3 over 4, which is negative 0.75. So if I'm looking at descending order, I'm looking at from the highest number to the lowest number. So again, in a number line, remember I mentioned you must have a 0. Okay, tell me where is your negative point and where's your positive point. So in this case, our positive point is the one on the left, whereas the negative points are the ones on the right. Okay, why? Because we want it to be in a descending order. So I'll have the biggest number, which is in this case 5.5. Okay, I will have 4, and then subsequently I will have 0.8787, because this is the positive number, right? Now, this is where I actually mentioned, do not write your answers as 0.8787. Please write your answers as 29 over 33. Okay, so you have 29 over 33 over here, and then subsequently you're looking at your negative number. Okay, now in numbers, the lower the negative number, the higher the value it is. Why? Because if you look at it this way, if I have 0, okay, and this is negative 1 versus negative 16, okay, this has a even lower value. You realize if I have less than $1, I'm only lacking $1, right? As compared to if I'm lacking $16, $16, the gap is even bigger. Correct to say that? So please remember, for negative numbers, the lower the value, okay, let's ignore the minus, okay, the higher it is in fact. Okay, so therefore we will pick 0.75. Again, let's not write 0.75, let's go for negative 3 over 4. Okay, then subsequently, let's just copy down negative 2.365. Okay, so this would be your in a descending order situation. Then again, let's take a look at part B. Okay, let me change the color so it's easier for you to see. All right. Okay, now in this question, they are giving you 5 over 8. Okay, and then negative 5 over 8, and then they are giving you negative 8, 10, 1 over 2, 5.855, and negative 2 pi. Okay, so I will change all of this to to decimals again. So I will have 0.625. Okay, this is straightforward, negative 8. This is 10.5. This is 5.855, and this is negative 6.28315. Okay, so they're asking you again in descending order. So then I will drop my number line. Alright, I will note where's the 0. Okay, and then what do? I will, again, this is the positive side towards the negative side. Why? Because this is in descending order. Alright, so which is the highest number in terms of its value? I'll have 10.5, right? So I have 10, 1 over 2. If you write 10.5, you will also be penalized. Okay, so please take note. Then I have 5.855. Okay, then I have 0.625, which is 5 over 8 here. And then I have negative 2 pi, and finally a negative 8. Okay, so this would be your order. Now, then let's take a look at 2.6b. Okay, 2.6b is relatively similar. Alright, but what we are looking at here is identifying them in different terms, such as integers, rational number, and irrational number. Okay, so let me go through a little bit. What exactly is an integer? Okay, so please write this down in your little notebook if you have one, or rather write it down in the additional notes. Okay, integer, it is a number, okay, that is written without any fractional component. Okay, so what does that mean? It basically means that it is like a whole number, alright, but this can also have a negative. So as long as there is no fraction number, it is an integer. Okay, now then you have your irrational number. Okay, irrational number are basically numbers that are merely decimals, okay, but cannot be expressed as fractions. Why? Because fractions are generally the fixed, the exact value, whereas decimals most of the time you approximate to 3SF, etc. Okay, so when you're looking at irrational numbers, the numbers that goes on and on and on and on and on. So for example, the 4 1 4 1 like that. Okay, non-stop, maybe 3 5 8 2 6 2 3. How are we going to phrase this in fractions? It's impossible. So we define them as irrational numbers. Then what's a rational number? It's just the opposite of what irrational numbers are. Okay, so when you look at an integer from the given numbers, from the given values, okay, we know that square root 2 is actually a recurring number. Okay, a number that keeps going on and on and on and on. Okay, and then you have 1 over 4 over 7 as well. So what I normally recommend students to do is you press in your calculator, write down the decimals on top of it. Okay, just like how we did it on top, like in this manner. Okay, in this manner. Alright, so you can do the same thing for this kind of numbers, but most of the time, if you are doing it frequent enough, you should have a grasp of what they're actually looking out for. So let's take a look at this set of numbers. Okay, they're asking you for an integer, so the correct answer will be 3. This is quite straightforward, right? Okay, then how about a rational number? Now, rational number, I will go for 3. 3 is definitely a rational number. Okay, I'll go for negative 1.23. Why? Because I can actually change this into a fraction, okay? And then 1, 4 over 7, because, it's already in a fraction form. Okay, yes, although it's a decimal, but it can be expressed in a fraction, means it's fine. Okay, then you have your irrational number. Now, very commonly, irrational numbers are pi, because pi it's never ending. Okay, and then you have your square root 2. Okay, so then they're asking you to arrange these numbers on the above in ascending order. Okay, so did they ask you for a number line? No, so you don't have to draw a number line. Okay, but now they're asking you for these numbers in ascending order. So this means that they want it to be expressed from low to high. Okay, so once you're done, alright, go for the lower version, which is negative, obviously. You have negative 1.23, you have your square root 2, you have your 1, 4 over 7, you have your 3, and then subsequently your pi. Okay, so do the same method. Okay, it is a very similar concept. Just change all of them to decimals and remember to always write them in their terms. Okay, because this is really one of the most common mistakes ever. Okay, now then let's take a look at 2.6. 2.6 part C. Okay, 2.6 part C. Alright, let's bring this again in its decimal form. So press into the calculator, 1.63 square would give you 2.6569. Okay, 2.6 is quite direct. And then you have 2 over 3. Okay, which is 2.6667. Now note, when I have 2.6, it means that this is a 2.60. Okay, so can you see what we are comparing now? Now, this is the tricky part. You're comparing 6.5, you're comparing 6.0, and you're comparing 6.6. Can see? Okay, so that is the tricky part because they're putting the numbers really similar. Ascending, again, means low to high. Okay, so when you express your answer will be 2.6 is to 1.63 square is to 2 over 3. Okay, now again, applying the concepts that we have learned just now. What's an irrational number? Okay, irrational number, again, it is basically numbers that cannot be expressed in fractions. So once you have calculated, it should be a cube root 20. Okay, then what is a prime number? Prime number are basically numbers, okay, that can be divided by 1 and itself. Okay, this is important. Alright, they are mostly numbers that are greater than 1. So can negative numbers be a prime number? No, no negative numbers. Okay, so therefore, let's see. Your prime numbers will be 3 and square root negative 20, cube root negative 20. Okay, for example, in cases like pi, they are considered as a prime number as well because you can't divide them anywhere else. Okay, to give you a perfect whole number, for instance, you cannot divide anything else apart from pi and 1, correct? So that is also a prime number. So in this case, cube root 20 is also a prime number. Okay, why? Because 4 you can divide by 2 and 1. Okay, 3 you can only divide by 3 and negative and 1. Whereas negative 4, it is definitely not a prime number. And then square root 4 will technically give you a 2. Okay, so what's a perfect square over here? The answer would be 4. Now, question. Why is square root 4? So that means square root 4 not a perfect square. Okay, because perfect square basically means that these numbers, okay, must have a powers that are multiples of 2. Now, write this in the additional notes if you have 2. Okay, they are multiples of 2. So in this case, 2 has the power of 1 here, which means this is a odd number. It is not a multiple of 2, because multiple of 2s are like 2, 4, 6, 8. So therefore, square root 4 is not a perfect square. Okay, so your only answer here will be 4.